Welcome to Expert Real Estate Secrets, the show where real investors share real strategies that actually work. No fluff, just actionable tips to help you close more deals, make more money, and build lasting wealth. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Expert Real Estate Secrets. I'm Mia, and I'm here with Don DeRosa. Today, we're diving into one of the most creative and honestly misunderstood ways to break into real estate: buying subject to the existing mortgage. Don, I know this is your bread and butter, so let's just start with the basics. What does it actually mean to buy a house subject to?
So subject to is just a fancy way of saying you're buying a property, but you're leaving the seller's mortgage in place. You take over the payments, but the loan stays in their name. No banks, no new loan, no credit check. It's a workaround for folks who don't have a pile of cash or perfect credit. And honestly, it's how I got started when I didn't have much to my name.
And that's what I love about it. You don't need to jump through all the hoops with a bank or come up with a huge down payment. I've seen families literally save their homes from foreclosure because an investor stepped in with a subject to deal. It's fast, it's accessible, and it can be a win-win if you do it right.
Exactly. The speed is huge. You can close in days, not weeks. And for new investors, it's a way to get in the game without waiting years to build up credit or savings. But you got to know what you're doing, or you can get burned. We'll get into that.
So let's break down how a subject to deal actually works, step by step. First, you need to find a motivated seller. We're talking folks facing foreclosure, divorce, or maybe they just need to relocate fast. Don, you've done a ton of these. What's your process?
I always start by looking for pain points. If someone's behind on payments or they're in a life transition, they're more open to creative solutions. Once you find that seller, it's all about negotiation. You have to be super clear about what you're offering and what it means for them. Then you get everything in writing: purchase agreement, disclosures, all of it. And after that, you start making the payments directly to the lender. The seller's name stays on the loan, but you own the house.
I remember the first time I saw this in action, I was like, wait, is this even allowed? But it's totally legal if you do it right. Don, do you remember your first subject to deal?
Oh, I do. I was nervous as heck. I wish I'd known to double check the mortgage terms and get a good attorney involved early. I learned the hard way that due diligence is everything. If you skip steps, you can end up with a mess, like hidden liens or a seller who's not telling you the whole story.
That's a good point. And for anyone listening, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're not sure about something, get help. It's better to slow down than to rush into a bad deal. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: risks. People always ask, is this legal? Will the bank call the loan? There's a lot of fear out there, and some of it's justified.
The big one is the due on sale clause. That's the part in most mortgages that says if the property changes hands, the bank can call the loan due. But in reality, as long as payments are made on time, most banks don't care. Still, you have to be aware of it. And yes, it's legal if you're transparent and follow the rules. The real risk is skipping due diligence or not getting legal advice. I see newbies mess up by not checking title, not getting insurance lined up, or just trusting a handshake deal. Don't do that.
I had a client once who was about to lose her house to foreclosure. We stepped in, did a subject to, and she got to walk away with her credit intact. We flipped the house in a few months. It was a win for everyone. But I've also seen people get burned by not reading the fine print. So, do your homework and don't skip the basics.
And if you're new, start small. Get a mentor or at least a good attorney. The quick wins are real, like that case study on page 30 where an investor turned a fast deal into a profit and helped a seller out of a jam. But you got to respect the process.
So, let's say you've done your first deal. How do you build a portfolio with subject to? It's not just about finding one house. You need a system.
Right. You want to get consistent with your marketing. Direct mail, online ads, networking with attorneys and probate courts. Those are gold mines for leads. And you need a checklist for due diligence. Verify the mortgage, check the title, inspect the property. Don't just trust what the seller says. And once you own a few, you need a way to track payments, manage tenants, and plan your exits. I use spreadsheets and property management software to keep it all straight.
I love that. And don't forget to keep records of everything: payments, repairs, conversations with sellers. It'll save you headaches down the road, especially if you ever need to prove what happened in a deal.
Yeah, and always have an exit strategy. Are you going to rent, flip, or sell to another investor? Know your plan before you buy.
Once you've got a few deals under your belt, how do you scale up? I know a lot of people get stuck after their first or second property.
Networking is key. Go to local real estate meetups, join online forums, and connect with other investors. The more people you know, the more deals you'll see. Build relationships with attorneys and title companies. They'll help you move faster and spot red flags, and create a system for analyzing deals. I use a simple formula. What's the cash flow, what's the risk, and what's my exit? If it doesn't check all three boxes, I pass.
That's so true. And don't be afraid to say no to a deal that doesn't fit your criteria. It's better to have a smaller, safer portfolio than to get in over your head.
Exactly. And as you grow, keep refining your process. The more you automate, like using CRMs or property management tools, the easier it gets to handle more properties without losing your mind.
Let's talk about playing the long game. What does it take to really master Subject to deals and make this a sustainable business?
You need a strong team. Real estate attorneys, mortgage brokers, inspectors, these folks are your safety net. And you need a bulletproof record-keeping system. Every deal, every payment, every repair, document it all. And always have a plan for how you'll exit each property. Sometimes you'll refinance, sometimes you'll sell, sometimes you'll lease option it. The key is to know your options and be ready to pivot if the market changes.
And don't forget to keep learning. The market's always shifting, and what worked last year might not work next year. Stay plugged in, keep networking, and never stop improving your process. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, due diligence, and legal safeguards. This is where a lot of new investors get tripped up.
Yeah, you need a reliable network. Attorneys, title companies, mortgage consultants, they'll help you verify everything, mortgage details, title history, property condition, and you need a checklist for every deal. Don't skip steps, and keep your documentation tight. Every agreement, every payment, every communication. It's not just about protecting yourself, it's about being able to manage and exit deals cleanly.
I always tell people, if you're not sure about something, ask. It's better to look cautious than to end up in court because you missed a detail.
Absolutely. And remember, the more organized you are, the easier it is to scale and avoid costly mistakes.
Let's shift gears to negotiation. This is where your people skills really matter. How do you approach a seller about a Subject to deal?
It's all about empathy. You have to understand their situation and show them how a Subject to deal solves their problem. I always start by listening. What do they need? What are they afraid of? Then I build my offer around that. And I use comps and data to show them the numbers. It's not just, trust me, this is a good deal. It's, here's why this works for both of us.
And you have to be ready for objections. People worry about their credit, about the mortgage staying in their name, about what happens if you miss a payment. You need to have honest answers and be transparent about the risks and safeguards.
Exactly. The more you can address their concerns up front, the smoother the negotiation goes. And sometimes you just have to walk away if it's not a fit.
So, how do you get better at these conversations? I know a lot of people freeze up when a seller pushes back.
Practice, practice, practice. I use scripts, I role play with other investors, and I keep notes on what works and what doesn't. Every seller is different, so you have to adapt. And after every deal, I review what objections came up and how I handled them. That's how you get better, by learning from every conversation.
And don't be afraid to personalize your offers. If you know what's motivating the seller, you can tailor your pitch to fit their needs. It's not one size fits all.
Exactly. And keep track of your interactions. The more you document, the more you can refine your approach over time.
All right, you've negotiated the deal. Everyone's happy. Now what? Closing is where the details matter most.
You need a closing checklist. Get all signatures, transfer the title, document the Subject to agreement. Don't leave anything to chance. And after closing, keep the lines of communication open with the seller. Sometimes you'll need their help with paperwork, or they might want updates on the mortgage. And always monitor the mortgage status and the local market. If the bank sends a notice or the market shifts, you need to be ready to act fast.
And don't forget about property management. Whether you're renting or flipping, you need a plan for repairs, tenants, and keeping the property in good shape. The work doesn't stop at closing.
Nope, that's just the beginning. The better your systems, the smoother everything goes after the deal is done.
Last but not least, let's talk about protecting your portfolio. Once you've got a few subject to deals, how do you keep everything running smoothly?
Stay in touch with your mortgage servicer. If anything changes with the loan, you want to know right away. Set up regular property inspections and maintenance. Don't wait for something to break, and always have a backup plan. If the market turns or the bank calls the loan due, which is highly unlikely as long as your paperwork is correct, be ready to refinance, buy out the seller, or sell fast. The key is to be proactive, not reactive.
That's such good advice. And honestly, it's what separates the pros from the amateurs. If you treat this like a real business, you'll be ready for whatever comes your way.
Exactly. And if you're listening and thinking, this sounds complicated, just remember, every expert was once a beginner. Start small, keep learning, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and check out our past episodes, especially the ones on negotiation and finding motivated sellers. Don, thanks for sharing your wisdom as always.
Thanks, Mia. Always a pleasure. And thanks to everyone listening. Go out there and make something happen. We'll see you next time on Expert Real Estate Secrets. And don't forget to check us out at expertrealestatecoaching.com for all your educational needs.
Bye, everyone. Take care and happy investing.
That's it for today on Expert Real Estate Secrets. If you're ready for hands-on coaching and real results, go to www.expertrealestatecoaching.com right now. Join the community, get the tools, and start closing more deals. We'll see you on the next episode.